Welcome to Greg's Reel Revival. Today we're going to show you how to service a Bantam 200, or is it a Bantam 100? Put down in the comments which one you think it is. If it helps you, the date stamp on this says FD, so I believe that is 1979 or 1980. So if you can put that in the comments when you think the year of manufacture was, and also if you think this is a 200 or a 100, because I really don't know. But we're going to service this. If you'll look at the schematics on this reel, the 100 and 200 are very similar, with the exception of some of the line guide parts and the side plate. So obviously the side plates are the same size. So anyway, we're going to get into this and show you how to take it apart, get it serviced, and put it back together. First thing we're going to do is take off this handle. And when I take off these parts, I'm just going to lay them down on this paper towel in the same order. So there's my first one, there's my second one, and then we're just going to keep on taking these parts off, and we're going to set them over in the order we take them off, and then when we go to put them back on, we'll know what order they go in. Also, don't be afraid to take pictures. That'll help you get it back together also if you have a question. Alright, so we got the handle off. Excuse me, and we'll take the star drag off. Set that up there. Now we're ready to take this side plate off. To take the side plate off, you just undo these two thumb screws here. Most of the times you can get them with your fingers. If not, you can use a pair of pliers, but just be real careful so you don't mess up those screws. Alright, those are off. The side plate's just going to lift off right here. So we're going to set that to the side. Okay, here's your spool, obviously. That's just going to pull right out. And we're going to set that aside. Now, first thing we're going to do, when I clean my reels, I like to break them down all the way, and I like to service this line guide. I don't think you can really service it correctly if you don't take it all the way apart. So we're going to go ahead and do that so you'll know how to do that, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this side case. All of these screws are the same length, except for the one that goes into this bar right here, and it's a longer screw. So give us just a second, we'll get these taken out of here. I'm going to get them started here with just a flat blade screwdriver. I feel sometimes like I can break the screws free easier with that. There's generally a slot that goes all the way across that a flathead screws into, screws into real well. So I like to get them at least started with that. And then I'll use my Phillips head, just take them all the rest of the way out. Alright, so I'm going to have to correct myself there. That long screw actually goes in this bar right here. The bar that's attached to the line guide. The rest of these should all be short screws. There we go. One more. There's really not a whole lot on this side of the reel, but you do have to get on this side of the reel to service the line guide. Okay, so we're going to set all these over here. And again, we have the one long screw, and it goes in this front bar right here. Not this one, but it goes in this front bar right here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set that cover right there. All right, to get this off here, there is a E-clip right here. We're going to use that flat bladed screwdriver. Kind of push that backwards. That'll pop off right there. There's a little plastic piece that goes in there. We're going to set down. Okay. And now this gear. Here, I know what we've got to do here. All right. We've got to take off this pawl and this pawl cap here. Pretty easy to do. Just unscrew that. Pawl cap's going to come off. There, right there. Generally on the bottom of where the pawl sits, there is a very small copper colored washer. So that's going to go next. And then we have the pawl itself. Okay. All right, so now this should come off. Here is the line guide itself, the gear that turns it, and then this plastic piece that slides onto it. So we're going to set those just right here. Now, this slides out, and then this front bar here, there's a screw right here that holds that in, so we're going to take that out real quick. Now you can tell where that screw goes because there's a little indentation right here, and so when you screw that screw in there, it's flat with the service. Okay, so we got that one out, we got the other side plate off. This bar just pulls straight out, and it's got the actual line guide itself on it. Okay, so that was easy enough. Set that to the side. Now we're going to turn our attention to the gear side of this. Okay, the gears are right inside of here. The easiest way to do this, these two screws right here, when we unscrew those, this top piece will slide, will come right off. So, again, if on my flat blade, I like to get these started with the flat blade, just break them loose. And again, I'll switch to my Phillips head. Just to unscrew them the rest of the way. Don't quite have this one out, I don't believe, but I do now. So that will just lift off there. We're just going to set that right there. There's nothing on the inside of there. All right. So here are your insides of this. Here's your two springs. We're going to take these off first because if you don't, they're real easy to lose. Next thing we're going to take out is this. Well, let's go ahead and take. This is the whole gear stack right here. It's also got your anti-reverse. All that'll just lift right off of here. Okay. And now we're going to pull out the pinion gear and the yoke. So that's going to go right there. Now here's the inside of your reel. There's not a whole lot to it. This is pretty clean. If this does have a lot of dirt on it, all right, pay attention real quick. On that, the post where the shaft goes on, there's a little copper washer, and we need to take that off. This is fairly clean. I'll just probably wipe this down with some Q-tips, because there's really not a whole lot of other, I mean, you don't want to go into any other disassembly on here unless you absolutely have to. We'll put some oil underneath these parts that move, but other than that, there's really nothing to do here. There is a bearing on the back side of here, so this bearing is held in by like a little 5-sided wire clip. So to get that off, just get some kind of a pick. Put your finger over part of it so it doesn't shoot across the room on you. Alright, so we've got a corner of that out. We can grab onto it. That just comes right out. Okay, so we'll turn that over. Tap it real softly. And there is that bearing. Okay. While we're talking about that, there's a bearing in the back side of this case also. It's right there if you can see it. It's the same setup. There's a little wire clip and then there's a little bearing. So try to see where that one opens up. And we'll do the same thing. We'll put our finger over here so it doesn't go anywhere. Alright, so we've got that out. A little clip out. Very softly tap that, and then your other bearing falls out as well. This gear case is really clean. I've had this apart recently. I will run a Q-tip right around the inside of here with a little bit of WD-40 on it, just to clean out any junk that's in there, and then I'll also clean out the inside of that where that bearing goes. So let's grab a Q-tip. Come on, Greg. Let's grab our WD-40. I don't use WD-40 for lubing anything. I just use it for cleaning. Alright, so I clean that out. Now I'm just going to take that toothpick and dry it out a little bit. Alright, so we're done there. Alright, we're going to set this to the side. Alright, so here's all of our parts. I'm going to take a few minutes now and I'm going to go clean all this, and then I will come back and we will show you guys how to put this back together. Alright, real quickly before we do this, let's take apart this drag stack. Okay, this is your main shaft that the handle and everything screws into. And here on the very bottom is your anti-reverse, is your anti-reverse dog. That'll just fall off there, so you can set that to the side. Now we need to take this apart just like any other part of the reel. We're going to take it off and we're going to set it in the way that it came off. So here there is a spacer. We'll pull that off first. There is a tension washer. There is a copper colored washer. Here's a little fiber washer. And then this right here, that is right underneath there is your drag. This whole gear will lift off. Okay. So we have that piece. Underneath the main gear, there's a little washer. So you have the main gear. Then you have the drag washer. And then you have the top piece right there. All right. So when we get that done, this will be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we'll start with that, and that. And so that'll be the whole drag stack. Okay, so now that we got that covered, now we're really actually ready to go wash off pieces and get them all cleaned, and we'll be back shortly. All right, we're back and we've got everything cleaned up. I think what we'll do, I think we're going to start with the gear side of this first. We do have these bearings that came out. Okay, a lot of people will not take those bearings out. They're just going to feel on them and see if they're rotating or not. I like to take them out. I like to clean them in some cleaner, something like, even like a gasoline, a Coleman fuel, just a very, very small amount of that, obviously outside in an open ventilated area away from anything that could cause any kind of flame. All right, so we get those back. They're both have been cleaned. To test them, we can just put them on this bearing tester here and they spin freely. So we know that one's good. Same thing on this one, spin extremely free. So we're going to oil these bearings. And to do that, we're just going to kind of make sure that oil goes all the way around there. All right. And then I like to put them back on here. And I like to spin them for just a second and give that oil just a chance to kind of work down in there. All right, so I'll do that. If you don't have a bearing spinner tool like this, you can use like a pencil or something like that. You can buy a set of this little piece here, and a bearing removal tool off Amazon. I think it's like $15, $16, $17, and then you'll have it. So if you're planning on doing it, it might be a good investment for you. Okay, so we have the bearings oiled. A little speck on there. It's kind of bothering me. Let's see if I can, I'm not sure what that is. All right, just a little piece of dirt in there. Okay, so that one's clean. There we go. Now, we're just gonna take this bearing, set it in there. You can use your tool to seat it. So now it's seated down there. And there is a little notch right down in there that that little clip goes into. I start with one corner of it. I'll put in the little groove and I'll put my finger over that so it doesn't shoot off on me. And then I'll use my little pick over here and I'll just push the rest of it in. All right, so I'll put that little corner in there. And now I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to get my little piece there. Tell you what I'll do. All right, so you can see all those pieces are in there, the bearing is in there, and it's secure. All right, turn that back over. We're going to start with, here's the yoke and the pinion gear. First thing we need to do is put a little bit of grease on this pinion gear. Now the main gear, the pinion gear, and even the little small gear here that drives the line leveler, all those share grease, so you don't have to get carried away too much on any kind of grease here. All right, so we've got some grease on here. We're going to set that right down in there. There's a little notched out area so you know how it goes. And this is going to fit over these two pieces right here. All right, on this one you can't get it backwards because one side's shorter than the other. It only fit one way. Okay, now first thing we're going to do before we forget about it, we're going to put this little brass bearing back on this post, or brass washer back on this post. Let that set there. And now we're going to rebuild our drag stack. Okay. So we have our main shaft. I'm actually going to put a couple of drops of oil on here. just so that'll keep it nice and slippery. And I'm just going to slide that on there. Tell you what, we're going to take this off here real quick. All right, so we're going to slide that all the way down. Now, next thing to do is put our anti-reverse in. Okay, this anti-reverse will, there's a little opening there, a little slot there. Those two brass teeth, one goes on each side of this pinion gear, and then, I'm sorry, on the anti-reverse, and that anti-reverse sits over there. Now what happens is when you're reeling forward, it's fine, it doesn't catch, it doesn't catch. Okay. So it's reeling fine, it doesn't catch, it doesn't catch. And then if you have to use anti-reverse, or you set the hook, or you try to go backwards, these have friction in them and they're going to cause that to go right in there. Okay, so that's set. Now, if you're trying to test this before the cover's on, you do have to kind of watch it, because that'll just kick off the anti-reverse and you'll have to do what I did and kind of put it back on there. Or you can actually put this off before you put this on, just attach this to it, and then you'll just have to make sure that you get that hole right there over that little post. All right, so we got that done. Next thing was this little fiber washer here. Next thing after that is our main gear. Set all the way down on there. Now we have our Carbon-Tex washer. Okay, I like to put some Cow's drag grease on here. You don't want tons of it on there, but I like to leave it where it's just a little bit moist. Okay, I'm going to set that down in there. And then we're going to put the top of this on here. All right. Now, if you remember correctly, our little black fiber washer goes on. Our copper washer goes on. And then our tensioner washer, the one with the straight sides in it, that goes on last. So that's the last of our three washers. And the last thing that goes on here is this spacer. And we'll just, sometimes that's kind of hard to get down there. There we go, so we'll push that down there. All right, so we are done with the drag sack part of it. Now we need to put our pinion gear and our yoke in. So again, that pinion gear has that little slot, it just fits right there. And now we're going to put these holes over these two brass posts, and just, you'll see here in just a second, that pinion gear is going to mesh with that main gear right there. Alright, so we can look at that, and you can see when I turn the main gear, that pinion gear turns as well. Alright, so we're good on this part here. We're just going to set this to the side. Again, I kicked off the anti-reverse. We will get that situated here in just a second. Alright. Now let's go about rebuilding our line guide. Okay. This is kind of tricky. We know that this faces out just like that. So the first thing we have to do is put in this bar here. It's kind of held in with just a little bit of tension there. Now that's not going to stay steady right now because we don't have all the pieces of it. So first thing I want to do to make that a little bit more secure is I want to put in this little bitty screw that we had over here. And remember, it goes in on the side with a little notch in it, and that's going to help. That's going to make sure that it'll be flush with this side when we get done with it. All right. All right, so that's going to get us set on this side. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this, and this is going to go in. If you'll look on this side here, it almost looks around, but then there's these two little notches that come out. If you look on this, there's two little notches also. Okay, so we're going to start on this side. We're going to line up the hole in our line guide with this line here, with this hole here, and then we're going to start that through, and then again we're going to line up that hole with those two notches, and we're set. All right, next thing that goes on is going to be, our next thing that goes in is going to be our line guide itself. So that fell out, but that's an easy fix. And it's going to go, this piece is going to go on here. It's just going to slide through there. And if you'll remember, there's that little plastic piece that goes on the back there. And then the final piece to hold that in is this E-clip, C-clip, whatever you're going to call it. I'm going to just set that on there and then do my best to push it in with this screwdriver. All right, so we're secured. Now, we're going to have to put the pawl on here. Okay, so that pawl is just going to drop right in here. See if I can get that figured out for us here. Sometimes it's easier than others, so I think we're getting fairly close here. Maybe not. All right, I'm going to pause this real quick and I'm going to go get a pair of pliers and I will be right back and we'll get that in there. All right, let's see if we can get this pawl in here now. Sometimes there's just not enough space in there to get your fingers in there. And so I'm just going to take that. I'm going to very lightly grab that. And then just set it right in there. All right, you'll notice it's kind of sticking up right there. Easiest way to get that down is just kind of put a finger on it. And just put tiny bit of pressure and then turn your gear, and that'll drop right down in there. And there we go. There, and you can see when it seats, you'll know it seats because then that's when it starts moving back and forth. All right, so the next thing we're going to do Just take our little bitty brass washer that goes on top of there. Make sure that's in there. And then we're just going to put this pawl cap back on. Same thing here as with all your parts that screw on. Just take your time, make sure it's lined up, and make sure it goes on easily. All right. If it doesn't screw on easily, you've probably got it cross-threaded, so just take it off and keep trying. Alright, just get it just to where it's barely snug. It doesn't need to be real tight. Okay. On the newer reels, these are generally made of plastic, and if you torque that too much, it will break really easily, and then you'll be in the market for some real parts when you weren't planning on it. Okay. We're going to put this bearing in now. Okay. Same procedure there. We're just gonna, it's already been oiled if you remember. So we're just gonna get that in there where it's flat. We're gonna, again, we'll just push it down, make sure it's pushed down. And then we're gonna, again, take this C-clip, I'm sorry, not C-clip, take this little wire clip, and we're gonna put it down in there. Okay. You can also set it down in there and take that back side and push that in the groove. All right, there's that. And then we'll take this little pick here and we'll just get each side in. There's one. Alright, so I believe that's in. Alright, that is in. Okay, so now our bearing is in there. We're good to go. Alright. So we've got our line guide on. We know it's working. Let's go ahead and put this other side plate back on. First thing we're going to do is put a couple drops of oil on this line guide. And then we'll just spin this and get that distributed across there. All right. Now before we set this down, let's go ahead and put a little bit of grease on this line guide gear. And we'll just set that down here, and then we'll put that side on. Okay, here is the Bantam 100 side plate. If y'all comment and let me know if this is a 100 or 200, because I would really like to know. It's just going to sit on there. Okay, and once again, for correction, this long screw goes in the front here. It does not go on that top bar, it goes in the front. All right. So I'm not going to tighten that all the way down in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to barely get it where it starts to tighten up, and I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to kind of work these others, just left, right, up, down, so we can get the top on to where hopefully it has even tension all the way around. Alright, I think we're good there. added in there. There we go. That last one in there. Like I said, we'll give them maybe an 1/8 of a turn, maybe a 1/4 of a turn, just enough to barely snug them up. They don't have to be super tight. All right, so we're done with that side. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the spool back in. These are your centrifugal brakes. Okay, this is before magnetic brakes were a thing in baitcaster reels. So these brakes, when you cast, they'll stay in like this, and when you cast, those brakes will go out and they will rub against the inside of this here. That'll create some friction, that'll slow your spool down so you don't backlash. Okay, to get this back in, push these little pieces all the way in there. I'm going to put a couple drops of oil on here because that just rides inside the bearing. Okay, and the bearing's already lubed. Okay, so those plastic pieces are pushed in there. I'm going to put the reel like that, and then I'm just going to set that right there. Okay. Same thing with the shaft. I don't like putting grease on the shaft because it just slows it down. So I'm going to drop oil on there, and I'm going to let that just do its thing. All right, I'm going to grab a toothpick here real quick, and I will show you a little trick for aligning these, the side case with the gears. With the newer models, you don't have this problem, okay? Real quick, we're gonna have to fix that anti-reverse. Give me just a second here, folks. There we go. Alright, so hold that in there and make sure. Oh, I kicked it out again. There we go. Okay, so that is working. Okay. So, to line this case up, these holes in this case are where those little screws go. Those screws screw down into these posts. Okay? So, first thing we want to do, we'll put our springs back on here, and then I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm going to break it in half. Alright, I'm going to put that point right down in the center of this spring, down into those threads. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Can y'all see that pretty clearly? What that's going to do, that's going to keep those springs straight. It's not going to allow them to possibly get bent over and messed up while I put that side plate on. Okay. So these two holes here will line up with, let's see here. Yeah. 。 those two. And then we're good to go. Make sure that seems to snap on there okay. And now what we're going to do is one at a time. We're going to take that out. We know that screw in there is aligned the way it should. I'm going to get a little grease on there to help me hold this because we know it's challenging for me. So get that in there. Screw that in. Just to where it's snug again, not real tight. Then I'm going to take this one out. And I'm going to do the same thing on this screw. Alright. So, that's that side plate. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of grease on top of there. And then again, I like to use that flat blade screwdriver. And just make sure it's snug. Alright, so our gear side is done. Our line guide is done. And we're going to actually get this put back on here. Alright, one thing I did not do, and I'm sorry guys, I'm new at this, not really new at this, but I'm new at making videos of this. So I didn't put grease on my main gear, but I can do that inside the case here. Again there, I don't get overly super worried about it because all these gears are gonna share grease with each other. So I'm just going to reach in there with my brush and get some grease on that main gear. And then we're good to go. All right, thank y'all for bearing with me. Wipe out any little bit of extra stuff I got there. Okay, now we're good to go. Okay, this is just going to sit onto here. Okay. This lines up really nicely all the way around, and we're just going to use our thumb screws to get that side plate on there. Alright, now we'll get our handle put on. Again, just go backwards. First thing that goes on is our star drag. That is not centered. You'll see how easy that goes on. So if that's not going on easy like that, chances are pretty good that it's cross-threaded. So just keep trying it till it works the way it should. All right, so we got that star drag on. We're going to put our tension washer on. We're going to put our handle on. This handle is sometimes kind of, oh good, it went on easy. This screw here goes inside there. All right, that one went on easy. Luck is with us now, I guess. All right. Then this cap's going to go on here. Again, make sure that goes on nice and easy. If you feel like it's, yeah, see, like there's not quite going on. So, well. There we go. All right. We'll find our little wrench here. Now we want to line this hole up with the hole in this. Okay, generally if one of the points on this nut is facing that, then you're good to go. Okay. Or you can have a flat side against it too. Okay, one of the easiest ways to do it, if you get really, really close, but you're not quite sure, that looks pretty good. Just put that over there. I can see that I may need, just a tiny, tiny bit more. I'll turn it, and it looks like I'm good to go. All right, so let's see if we can get this screw in there. All right. Well, again, I'll take my flathead, just wipe that little bit of grease off. All right, so there's your vintage, either Bantam 200 or Bantam 100, whichever way you want it to be. Very, very smooth. Anti-reverse works perfectly. There's no reason you couldn't take this reel out and fish today. So thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe so I can grow my channel and continue to get a little bit better at this on camera. If you have a reel that you would like me to service, please contact me at gregsreelrevival.com. I'm sorry, gregsreelrevival@gmail.com, and I will get back with you. Thank you all for watching. Again, put it in the comments, Bantam 100, Bantam 200. Date code is FD. Thank you all for watching.